Daniel 79 with the Survivalist Mindset, and if you have watched some of my other videos, especially the one where I was putting together the K-Bar US Navy survival kit on the sheath, you'll know that I like to have my primary cutting tool that's with me all the time to have multiple functions about it. First and foremost amongst those functions is the ability to start a fire with that kit, as well as just to cut. If I can fit other things into a kit, I like to do that. But today I'd like to share with you a way that I have found through just playing around to make a waterproof fire tinder kit or bundle that you can carry with you regardless of what type of knife you choose or what type of a fire kit you may have. And it's a way to have some fire tinder that's dry, always ready to go, and every single part that is used in making this kit has multiple purposes. I'll start by sharing with you what the raw ingredients are going to be for this demonstration. Here are some cotton balls, and for demonstration's sake I have not soaked these in Vaseline. You could easily do that. I just kind of want to keep my shop area somewhat clean, so I haven't done that with these. So you need some cotton balls, an old cotton t-shirt, and some bicycle inner tube. And this is the same roll that I have been cutting off of if you saw the survival kit that I made on the K-Bar. This stuff lasts a long time. So one inner tube will last you quite a while. So we'll use these three ingredients. I'm going to get the camera down, bring it closer so you can see what I'm doing. So stick with me. Alright guys, as you'll notice on the K-Bar survival sheath, I already have one of these put together and attached. So I'll go ahead and show this one to you first. This is what the finished product will look like. Now, every single part of this is useful, and I'll explain more as we go along. Let me go ahead and attach this back here. I'll set it off to the side. Also, in the Ontario knife sheath, I have made something similar. I have a magnesium block right on top that I have attached a piece of paracord to so I can pull it out. And I have one of these tinder bundles that I've made shoved down the pouch. Now, because the tinder bundle is made, or is wrapped rather, in a rubber inner tube, it gets hung up in there. So I have attached another piece of paracord to it so that I can pull it out easily. And there it is. We'll move this off to the side. I just kind of wanted to give you an idea of what it is that we were working towards. Now, you don't necessarily have to have these in your knife sheath if you don't want. You could put these in your bag, in your bug out bag, what have you. I have, up until this point, been using Ziploc baggies to hold cotton balls or dryer lint to keep them dry. But I think I'm going to start using these because they'll stay completely dry. I threw a couple in the bathtub so that I could see if the stuff inside would get wet, and it did not get wet. And the rubber from these inner tubes burns really well. It makes a really nice, long-lasting wick, so to speak. And in conjunction with cotton balls, you have a little piece of tinder that will take a spark very easily, and it'll burn for quite some time. Not to mention, and I'll show you as I cut some up, you have ample leftover inner tube to make additional ranger bands if you need to attach stuff for cordage, for whatever purpose you may need it for. You'll have plenty of extra inner tube to do that with. So to get started, you'll take an old t-shirt or piece of cotton cloth, handkerchief, whatever you've got, and cut you out a little square. Doesn't have to be pretty. This stuff can be used to catch a spark. This stuff can be used to make char cloth out of. Any number of purposes. And then you'll take a couple of your cotton balls. Now, you might want to soak them in Vaseline first, but you'll put them in, and you'll just roll this up, kind of like a burrito, into a nifty little pouch, like this. Then you'll get you a piece of your inner tube. Figure out how wide that is, and you want it to be as long as your Tinder bundle on each side. So roughly three times the length of this. And that's where you'll want to cut it off at. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. Then from this, cut yourself two small, kind of like the width of a good rubber band pieces off of your inner tube. And I'll give you 2 bands. We'll use that to hold the whole package together. Then you'll come back to your burrito that you made out of your cotton balls and make it just as tight as you can. Roll it up real tight. And then you'll take that bundle and stuff it clear through until it's in the middle. Once it's in the middle, take your extra inner tube, fold it over once, and fold it over again. Then you'll come back to these bands that you cut, and you'll stretch them out, one over the top, like that, and the second band crossing that one, like so. Now, you can throw this thing in the river, and your tinder will still stay dry, able to catch a spark. Also, like I said before, this rubber burns really well. You have plenty of extra if you need to make additional Ranger bands while you're out and about. If you need to use them to put some sticks together. I'm going to try when I go out on this trip, and I'm going to make a debris shelter. And instead of using 550 cord, which I have plenty of, I'm going to try to attach my sticks with some of this and see if it works. If it works well, you'll see you'll have something to use as cordage as well. I'll bring down my little a flower pot full of sand, and I'll show you how well this stuff works. Okay, here we have just a little flower pot full of sand, something that I can easily extinguish the flames in. And here's one of these cotton balls, an extra one. Now you won't need to use the whole thing, that would be wasteful. You might be able to make several fires out of this, especially if they're soaked in Vaseline, which these are not. Take you a little bit, and what I like to do is fluff it out so it's able to catch a spark well. Okay? Then you'll take, assuming I'm not going to cut one of those up because I'll probably use it now that I've made them, but assuming you're using a little bit of your Ranger band, or your inner tube rather, cut this into a couple of pieces, maybe into thirds. Doesn't really matter. Cut it into thirds till you have pieces like this, and then stick it into the ground, into the cotton ball, so it's standing up as best you can. Doesn't necessarily have to. And it's better if you put multiples in there, but we'll just do this for demonstration's sake. And then we'll won't even have to scrape any of the magnesium off. What you'll see is that it'll catch a spark very, very easily. And by having that little bit of inner tube, and especially if these were soaked in Vaseline, it'd burn for long enough to get something going. This is really good to use, especially when the stuff you're finding outdoors is wet. Always, always, if it's dry and you can find dry tinder in the wild, use that first, because this stuff is a non-replenishable resource when you're out and about. I try to save this stuff for when I'm having a really hard time, excuse me, a really hard time starting a fire, and there's nothing dry. I like this is what I'll use in that situation. If I can find or harvest some dry tinder myself, I'll use that first. But this is just for demonstration's sake. Anyhow, you'll take your ferrocerium rod or magnesium block, whatever you've got. And there we go. And that wasn't long enough to catch the rubber. That didn't burn long enough to catch the rubber. When I tried this before, like I said, I had Vaseline, and it worked really well. We'll try one more time with a bigger piece of cotton. And like I said, just put your rubber pieces in here. Try not to lay them flat. They'll have a harder time catching that flame that way. You can kind of stack them so there's some air under them. That tends to work better. And there we go. And now the rubber's catching this time. And this should burn long enough to help you get something else ignited. Make sure you always have some kindling processed and ready to go, so that way you can feed this and build your fire up. Hate to start something like this and not have enough kindling around. But as you can see, that was the other half of that cotton ball, and I just placed the rubber on there a little different. There was no Vaseline involved this time. This is just a straight cotton ball and a couple pieces of those Ranger bands of the bicycle inner tube. And you can see how long it's burning for a good long while. And of course, the more little pieces you cut and add, the longer that will go. Plenty long enough to get a good fire started. And you will always have it with you. It'll always be dry. And I would suggest that maybe you give this a whirl. Make a couple of these up. Throw them in your pack, attach them to your knife, what have you, and give it a whirl. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to shoot me a comment at any time. I'll try to respond to them as promptly as I can. Sometimes I don't always get around to reading them as quickly as I should. I don't know what the deal is with YouTube. Sometimes they don't always send me an email that says I have a new comment. I have to go to my inbox and find it. But anyhow, I apologize if I haven't responded to your comments quickly enough. But anyhow, shoot me a comment. Tell me what you think. It's always good to hear from you guys. I appreciate your views and your support and your comments and your subscriptions. And just keep in mind that the only certainty in life is change. God bless you all.